And good evening. Welcome to the Biddle. We're set out to have a talk about tech around the virtual water cooler. Anything that is Linux, tech, and open source related is on the table for discussion. We do have some things on the docket, but first I want to thank Rocco for starting the Biddle community, where I truly felt like a member of the nicest group of encouraging and uplifting people with phenomenal skills and abilities at a myriad of levels. So good evening. How is everybody?
Doing great.
Excellent.
Doing good.
Fantastic, thanks.
Excellent. I had another little faux pas there when it started off. Might have been some music playing twice, so my bad. So I usually like to start off with like what's someone doing fun in Linux as of late. So I'll tell you, I've been playing with virtual machines again. I had well, I should say not virtual machines. Let me back up. Emulators. So I was having some trouble with the Vice emulator for the Commodore 64 and OpenSUSE Tumbleweed. See, I got the OpenSUSE thing in there right out of the gate. And what happened was with one of the latest build or whatever was going on, there was an issue where the it just wouldn't launch. And so I filed a bug report, and literally within a day or two, with people like working on it, asked for some more questions, like what package information and so forth that what I had installed. And within a couple days, they contacted whoever the maintainer was, and the bug was resolved. And bada bing, bada boom, everything was all set. The packages were updated, and it happened pretty quickly. So I'm very happy about that. The OpenSUSE community is really good about, when things do, maybe not pass OpenQA or something breaks it. They're very responsive in fixing things. So anyway, so I was excited about that. I do a lot of like Commodore 64-y type things. I like to play around with it. It's just like, is there any productivity I'm actually doing at this time with Commodore 64? Not a bit, but it is fun, and I do enjoy it very much.
So Nate, have you ever had your Commodore online? Has it ever joined the internet?
Well, yes, I have. I don't know if you remember this. This is quite a while ago, or are you just bringing this up just for kicks? But
I'm barely remembering something, but I want you to tell.
So I got an Ethernet adapter for my Commodore 64. I put in the cartridge slot, and I was able to get my Commodore 64 successfully online, and I was able to successfully do IRC chatting with the Commodore 64, and I chatted with like Alan Pope and a few other people. I think Dan Simmons. I chatted with him in IRC as well, and actually, funny you should bring that up. So somebody contacted me through my website and basically asked me a couple of questions about it, and they thought it was just awesome and shared it apparently on Twitter. I haven't seen it; they didn't tag me in it. And also, there was someone in the retro recipes community as well. I don't know if you're familiar with that YouTube channel. It's one of my favorites. Someone else pointed out that I was able to get my Commodore 64 online doing IRC. I'd like to do more with that, but basically until I get air conditioning properly in here, that's not happening. So that's for another discussion for another time. All right. If no one else has anything else, we're going to get right to the distro exploration. So in this last week, we explored KaOS, or Eris, you're supposed to correct me. What's it called? It's not KaOS, it's KaOS?
KaOS, I think.
KaOS. So I apologize to everybody involved in the project and for confusing anybody about calling it KaOS. It's what it looked like to me.
There's chaos in the name of it. Okay.
It's KaOS, apparently.
But chaos and how to pronounce it.
Yeah, well, I didn't do my research. I just winged it. So Eris corrected me. Yeah, KaOS.
I think Dan and Leo were talking about on their podcast about how it used to be known as KDE OS, and then I guess it became KaOS.
I got you. The cool OS. It has the A there. I think that's what kind of throws me off a little bit, because the KA. Anyway, well there we go. I am by no means perfect. So I did a straw poll in the Biddle community channel on Telegram, and if you had to choose between KaOS, sorry, I'm gonna keep slipping up, KaOS and Elementary, which would you go with essentially? And 56% said elementary, and 44% said KaOS. I actually voted in that as well for KaOS. So there are 9 total votes. So thank you, the 8 of you besides me, for voting in that. And I can see why people would probably choose elementary over KaOS. I would say, it wasn't quite as maybe polished or something. I don't know. So this is part of the distro exploration. Here are the rules. This is a discussion by which only objective and constructive input will be given on the product. Non-objective opinions like "this is garbage" or some other pejorative is not helpful. Rather, if you say "I wish it had this feature" or "I really need features to allow me to fill in the blank," that's benefiting the conversation. The point is to highlight the positives, but not ignore the lowlights of the project as well. So remember, this is a labor of love for some people, so let's not poo-poo on it. This exploration of KaOS is 2021.08. The intent is to talk about the different aspects of the operating system and to see how users felt about it. So for the installation process, how did we feel about that? What were your thoughts on it?
Go, Jinder.
I only had one issue with installing it because it didn't like what was it, elementary did to the hard drive. So I had to format the hard drive before I started. Other than that, it was 100% silky smooth, no issues whatsoever. I had no issues with the install other than that.
Okay. Did you find it confusing at all, or did it seem pretty direct as far as the process?
I didn't find it confusing or anything. Actually, I thought it was quite pleasant. It was a standard, simple install. It was nice.
Yeah, I found it pretty easy to the process to digest, the step-by-step process, kind of like doing your taxes. Less confusing than taxes, actually.
Yeah,
I saw some
definitely.
people in the BDLL Telegram say they had some issues installing, but I know I didn't. I've got a Dell Optiplex 755 here, and I installed it on the second partition after Solus Plasma on the first one, and installed on that partition no problem at all.
Yeah, I didn't have any issues installing it either. Although I did it in VM because it's just an exploration, and I'm going to give it basically a pass in any VM hiccups and so forth. But
it sounded like the issues really came from having just done elementary OS just prior to doing KaOS, right? With the LVM.
The LVM.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, that might be something that they could work on, improving that. Because somebody else said in the Telegram chat that they'd installed, maybe it was Kubuntu on top of an LVM previous install, and they had no issues there. So maybe that's something that they can work on.
Okay.
For myself, I'm very, very comfortable with the Calamares installer because I've used it a lot with Arca Linux, and I believe that it's probably one of the most customizable installers that you can have. That's why they have that's why if you look at different distros, they might have different options in the installer with adding packages at the time of install and things like that. I think that's what KaOS had as well, from memory. That was good.
I appreciated that I could change the name of the system right there in the installer, because I like to name all my computers. I don't know if anybody else is like that, but to me, like random number name combinations don't do anything for me. I can't remember those. So I name them all either Muppet characters. So Kermit, Fozzie, Gonzo, stuff like that.
The Muppets.
Statler, Waldorf, yeah. Things like that. Or
I
sometimes
did that too.
Yeah. The Muppets?
The same names?
Yes, Muppets. I've got a computer called Gonzo sitting right next to me.
Oh, excellent. But
and my NAS is called Muppets.
Nice. But I also do different Transformers characters, and then I have my main server is called Prime, because that makes sense. And then I have it's kind of whatever mood I'm in, I guess. I like to throw everything together. But then my network itself, like the SSID and my Samba work group, those are LCARs, like for Library Computer Access and Retrieval System from Star Trek, because nerd.
I think Kubuntu could reformat the LVM because it uses the Ubiquity installer, just like Ubuntu. It's just that I think Kubuntu uses the Qt version, so
Hmm.
that's why it should be able to do it too.
Testing.
I can hear you, Colin.
We can hear you.
You're a
Colin.
little bit on the quiet side. You could be a few notches louder, and it would be okay. Do you have something you want to throw in on the installation process?
They use XFS. I didn't use it because I used ext4, but I think by default it tries to give you XFS. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, that's actually something I didn't actually look into. Was the underpinnings like that? Did you find the location tool kind of fun?
What location tool?
So you set your time zone. You had like a
Oh.
map you could scroll through, and I thought that was kind of clever. I hadn't seen that before. Although I did mess it up a few times. Like I clicked off of it and then like went to Texas or something like that, which I'm nowhere near Texas.
We'll see New York and say next.
I liked how
Yeah,
they
it
gave.
just found mine. I just skipped next. Yeah, as well.
Oh, okay. It didn't find me initially, so but it was a fun little tool. I thought it was a little more dynamic than what I'm used to seeing.
Is that the geographical location thing you're talking about?
Yes. So like kind of set
Yeah,
your
yeah.
time zone. Yeah.
I just
thought
did a very straight out install, so I didn't really check anything else on that,
Oh, okay.
to be honest.
So then I had it installed LibreOffice just because, there was a little toggle there on the beginning. I thought it was kind of nice that it had that option that you can install it or not, or no Office suite, and then like a minimal
The
install.
intro, what do they call it? The intro help screen was really nice, actually. It had a lot of good features. and-
Croeso, sorry.
Yeah, that was really good. As far as the like when your first impressions of it, yeah, I like that you were given a nice little introduction. Essentially, I did a lot of clicking around in there. Although I did screw up the plasma theme with it. I think that that maybe they shouldn't. They probably should just direct you right to the plasma module instead of having you select it like piecemeal. Because the global, I had to reset the global theme basically, so everything didn't look like it was done by my 6-year-old essentially. So.
Granted, KDE is very difficult to get right when theming.
Yeah, the global theme thing kind of covers that for you. If you just do the global theme and then a tweak off of that helps. I find. What did you
Just
think
on
of
that Croeso,
Yeah, go ahead.
on the Croeso thing, like I normally, whenever I install a distro and I see a welcome screen, it's like an instinct or a reflex. I just normally tick to not launch it on startup. But with Croeso, because of all the stuff that's in it, I found that I've just left it on.
Yes.
And when I boot up, I see it. It just seems to be useful. I don't know if that's the same with everybody else, but with a lot of other things, I just tick it off.
Yeah,
I
I agree.
So I tend to leave those on all the time because I don't know, I just do. Even though I've been using OpenSUSE now for 10 plus years, I leave the welcome pop up every time. I kind of like, to me it's kind of like, hey, welcome, hey, thanks,
Well, a little story on this. When I first booted up, I really liked Croeso. I mean, it was excellent. I didn't catch the name. I saw it as a welcome screen, and like Vince, I left it tagged to come on next time. I thought, okay, I'll look at this more next time. Right now, let's get on with it. And then while I was testing the system, I thought, okay, I want to see that screen again. So I started looking for. Now I'd listened to Dan and Leo on their podcast mention Croeso. I thought, okay, I remember the name now. So I started looking at the menu for anything starting with K. It's KDE. So I thought, okay, let me look for anything starting with K. I couldn't find anything. Couldn't find welcome. Couldn't find anything starting with K at all. So I thought, okay, I'll just reboot. So when I rebooted, of course, it came up, and then I wrote down the name.
So, Peter, you are specifically requests to turn up your volume by Steve's very own, because he is going deaf.
He is deaf. He's an old guy.
Yeah. I think he has to turn up his bell tone perhaps a little bit. I don't know.
My volume is 100%.
Well, then I guess then it's as good as we can do. All right.
Can I mention that I was very impressed by when I first started using the welcome screen? It had
Yeah.
a big picture of tequila right in front. I don't know if you saw that.
I did not see that.
You see that?
No, I apparently missed that.
Yeah, that's about a tequila there.
That's funny.
It's nice. It has a lot of features. The welcome screen.
Now they use on the underpinnings. They use it's an Arch-based distribution. So I wonder, like long term, the like how well it's going to hold up. Like Eris, you said that
It's not
didn't.
actually.
It's
it's
not
not actually.
Arch-based.
Oh, it's not.
It's Arch inspired. That's why
Arch
that's why
inspired.
they use Pacman. They use
Okay.
Pacman,
Yes.
but they don't use the repos.
Oh, okay.
It's
Yes, I
independent.
read it's independent. That's right, Colin. I read all the about page, and apparently when they first started, they built all their own packages, and only released when I think they reached 1,500 packages.
Yeah.
So what are we? At what stage are we at the moment? I thought we gone past the installer, or are we talking
Well,
about
like installation, like your first impressions. So we can go into default applications or whatever you want to hear from, as far as as part of your first impressions. We're kind
Well,
of
I
fluid
really
in this.
like
We don't have to be too rigid.
I like the I like the welcome screen, or the what do you call it? What did you call it, Pete? The
Grueso.
KaOS, that's the one. For a KDE application where things can be quite difficult for people to find if you're not familiar with KDE or Plasma, then I found that was a great little tool for people to set themselves up. And not only that, they had applications. I'd have to think you would call them curated applications that they had within that as well, that you could select. Probably just the main things that you would be looking at to get yourself up and running. So I thought that was very impressive and very well presented as well, I must say. Yeah.
I did like how I could go through and Crueso, and they had like other applications, like went to the music application. I took the Elisa player, and then I went to the video editors, and I ticked Kden Live, and and I said, to install the selected applications, and everything just kind of worked. It did have an issue apparently in the like maybe I missed it, but like I'm used to the because it pops up a terminal, does all this stuff, shows you what it's doing, but it didn't actually close the terminal on me, so I wasn't sure what was going on there. I just closed it.
Yeah.
Right.
I was going to bring that up too, because a couple of times I installed from the Crueso packages area, and like you say, it brings up a terminal, and then it finishes, but it doesn't tell you it's finished. So
Right.
I waited like 5 minutes, and nothing was happening. So I turned that off, and then checked for the package in the menu, and there it was.
Right.
Yeah, so that was I had that problem too. I guess it wasn't really a problem, just kind of a quirk, I would call it.
It's a learning
perhaps.
curve. It's a feature.
Right. Yeah, it's a feature.
It's a feature.
It keeps it open for you. But like even like just a message saying, you can now close the close it would be kind of cool. Now it's a pretty limited set of applications. Did you find yourself like wanting anything else that wasn't there?
I would have wanted a lot of things. I've only just installed it. I sort of looked at it a little bit, went through QSO, whatever it's called, but I didn't get to do anything else. I've only had it in a virtual box, so I didn't try setting it up as if I was running it full time. So yeah, but you're right. There is a lot of things probably not there, but I'm pretty sure I went through that and there was enough to get somebody started to do the everyday things, I think.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
So Linux Bytes, he says he's not a big fan of independent distros. I'm kind of curious why he thinks that. I mean, I have my reasons. It could be like software selection, but this is just kind of a some discussion that I had earlier today. Was, do you think that because of things like Flatpaks and app images, the that application gap is really not as critical anymore?
Absolutely, because I noticed there was a few packages, but I also wanted to test Flatpak, and Flatpak worked great. You had to set it up manually in the terminal. I'm used to that on Solus anyway, but once you get it set up, it works fine.
So almost, I kind of think that maybe, although I understand where Linux Bytes is coming from, like there might be some libraries that, some underpinning libraries that you might need, like maybe, I didn't check if KaOS had it, and I wish I would have now, but like the smart card libraries, so if you have like smart card secured websites, could you actually utilize that? But I kind of feel like that, the Flatpak, and I don't know if it has snaps, if that's an option either, at least with Flatpak, it was, it takes away that, the pain of maybe not having a lot of applications, and actually there might be some room for discussion as to, is it really in a distro's best interest to maintain all those applications because of things like Flatpak?
Well,
I know that,
I think that's interesting. I think they only have to maintain mainly the system that they're working on rather than have to worry too much about dependency issues and things like that. So that must be a huge relief for people who are coding and stuff, I'd have to think, so they can just concentrate solely on the desktop and whatever.
right? Like kind of the nuts
I'd
and
have to
bolts.
think. Yeah.
Because it does seem like that could relieve pressure, especially for a smaller distribution or independent distribution like Linux Bytes doesn't like, or he's not a big fan of, I should say.
Solus is independent too, aren't they? I mean,
Yes.
and they seem to do pretty well.
So Leviticus says that the issue with Flatpaks is that they are friggin' huge. So I think they've actually, it's a little better these days, and I haven't really had an issue where I installed a Flatpak and I had to wait a long time. I actually have more issues installing the all the stuff around the Arduino development libraries, where I have where it takes a long time for those to update, especially in Tumbleweed when they update rather frequently. It's like a 700 megabyte download of new stuff or recompiled stuff. So I don't know. Maybe yes, they are larger because they are more self-contained. But yeah, that is an issue. But do you think? I think maybe Leviticus can respond to this in the chat. But do you think that maybe that the size is not as much of an issue now because they are drive space is so much more today? We can be a lot more sloppy with that. And Steve, please chime in at any point in time. I would love to hear your what you think. Oh, I can't hear you, Steve.
Can you hear me?
You're kind of quiet. You sound.
Like Peter?
No, much quieter. Actually, you're you sound far away.
You sound like you're 100 mile away from the microphone or something. I think your mic's not working.
There we go.
Comic relief, what can I say?
So it's why we
At
had
least
you,
I'm not
Steve.
sitting in 60-degree weather pretending I'm freezing. But I mean, Flatpaks, I don't know. I know everybody's got their opinion on them, snaps and all that, but it's the access. So the one thing with KaOS, I installed, well, I didn't think it was a Flatpak, but what was nice is here was a distribution. They had GIMP, the 2.10.24 version. They had the most up-to-date version, which you can barely find in a repo. Usually have to get a Flatpak to do that. I mean, I use Flatpaks, I use snaps, I use app images, I use the .deb. I personally don't care. I mean, I know there's still people that really oh, it's so large. They do this, they do that. I don't even consider that. It's like the memory issue. It's like, ooh, we use less memory. Yeah, whatever. It's what matters to you. And if you get a system that, say, you do Debian, right? And Debian's got a lot of stable and old packages, but you throw flat pack on it, and you have all the modern software that you need, and then on a stable system. So I don't go with that. And you're not going to download maybe 100 flat packs. I mean, that's kind of like overkill, but load up your drive. I've never thought about it.
The only time a Flatpak download is really big is when you first set it up to install the environment, like a KDE environment, or the other environment, which the name's escaping me, GTK. So when that environment is needed, it has to download that environment, and that puts people off. But that's only a one-time deal until some updates later on.
Yeah. So Anna says, sometimes Flatpaks don't work as good as deb files. Sometimes deb files don't work at all. Adam, if he was here, he'd tell you how many times I was on Discord with them, and I'm on Peppermint, and I got the .deb version of Discord, and I'll be talking, just rattling on, and all of a sudden, oh, Adam's ignoring me, and I finally look at my screen, and Discord's disappeared. It crashed. It just gone. With the Flatpak on top, I've never had that issue. So I don't know if, where the problem lies, but, debs are just, it's just a matter of opinion, I guess, but debs are no different than Flatpaks and all that. They have their integral issues on certain distributions, I guess.
That's a good point. I mean, actually, I can't say I've had much crashing lately. Telegram has actually been crashing. It's the only application that's really crashed on me lately. Yeah. But that's...
Flatpak?
Nope, it's an RPM. It's from the OpenSUSE repos.
Oh, it's an RPM. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's an RPM, huh?
It's an RPM.
Oh, yeah, there it is, right there.
The revolutions per minute aren't working correctly.
Apparently the synchro gear didn't cause it to mesh properly, and the gears just kind of came flying off the shaft. So that's what happened. But it's actually been a little while. But it's the only thing that's really I've noticed that's been crashy. Maybe it's been a little while. I don't know. Well, that's interesting. Now, what about the default application selection? I did install it with LibreOffice, so I was happy about that. That's a regular application I use all the time. So I find I'm since I'm very often in positions where I don't have internet access, I need to have a local application. So I don't know if anyone else is in that, or if I stand alone.
I downloaded GIMP, Chrome, and LibreOffice when I was downloading. It was nice, easy switch, very small on on the, I guess, curated apps you want to say for them. I was trying to get Snapd installed, and I was having trouble with that. I couldn't, because of Pac-Man, I guess I'm not used to it. I couldn't get the commands right.
Yeah, I didn't try that. I probably should have, but I didn't try that. Did anybody else try that? Or
I thought their web browser was an interesting choice, Falcon.
I like Falcon, actually.
Yeah. Is that a
based?
It's Blink.
Oh, so
it's a Blink engine on a Qt based web browser.
It's not a fork of anything, no? Is it a fork of something?
No, it's like a I mean, they use at the core of it. It's a Blink. I don't think it's a fork really of anything. I think it's its own thing. Maybe it's a fork of Conqueror. Maybe not really. Maybe a re-implementation of what Conqueror was. But it's a web browser that I do use, and I use somewhat frequently, actually. Not on this computer, but on another computer I've used it a lot. I like it because it's very stripped down. It doesn't have a lot of features. It's kind of like the Epiphany, or what do they call it, GNOME Web, but for the KDE world, the Qt world. So that's what I feel like.
Falcon used to be called Quipzilla.
Oh, there we go. I forgot about that. Yep, Dan Simmons also put that in the chat. Maybe that's where you got it from, Peter. And Dan says there's no snapd on KaOS. Oh, KaOS. I did it again. Eris is joining back in to scold me on my mispronunciation of it again. I noticed they installed KPatience, the card game collection. That's something I've used, not in recent times, but when I was in a position where I had a little bit of time to kill and I didn't have internet. So I've used that. Good game of Free Cell always brings a smile to my face. Although it's not as good as a Free Cell in Windows 95. I think that was better. That was more fun when they had the cards kind of bounce like that. That was kind of mesmerizing. They used Ocular for the PDF reader / markup tool. So that was nice. Now, the media player they used was SM Player, which I think was M Player based. Does anybody have any opinions on SM Player? No. And
Does it work okay?
yeah, it's fine. And then for they had a which was I thought was really nice. They had a webcam application installed by default. Not the one I would choose. I would choose Webcamoid, but they used Camoso. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that one at all.
I couldn't
But
get it
it's-
to work.
Oh, you couldn't? Oh.
No, it didn't work.
Yeah,
Oh.
I've heard of that before though, Camoso. Been around for a while, I believe.
Yeah, it's been around for quite a while. That's one I used until I found Webcamoid. I happen to like that one a little bit better. It has fun little silly features. I did an article on Front Page Linux, frontpagelinux.com for that, and it's a fun experience, that Webcamoid.
Anything
And
but cheese.
Cheese is kind of crashy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another one that was kind of crashy on me. And then for the text editor, I like that they had Kate installed by default. That's, I think, a very powerful text editor. You can do a lot if you do programming and whatnot. So it's got a lot of plugins for that. Anybody else have any other thoughts on the default applications?
I mean, I thought it was interesting that they had Chrome instead of Chromium. Not
It might have been easier
real
just to pull
biggie,
down.
but, yeah.
You could install the Chromium Flatpak if you wanted.
Yeah, Chrome wasn't there by default though, was it?
Chrome,
No, it wasn't by
well,
default. No.
no, it was in the selection of browsers.
Yeah, but
Yeah, but not as a default installation provided. We're talking about like what's out of the box type thing. We're talking about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought I had a lot of applications, even though I selected the minimum selection option. I had like Falcon and Solitaire even. I forgot what other things I had.
And they have GIMP in there as an option to just toggle over as a curated app, I guess you're gonna call it that. Digicam and Krita. That's kind of cool. And yeah, I'm kind of glad they had Solitaire in there, Eris, because
Solitaire.
Well,
Well,
they had
Solitaire
light,
is the least of my worries. I like
Yeah.
Solitaire, but it was just a lot of applications for being minimal.
How much was the minimal install? Like, did you check what the footprint was
No,
of the
I
operating
didn't
system?
check how big it was.
That'd have been interesting to know. So now I'll have to install it again. Thanks, Eris, for not checking numbers. I'm kidding. It's totally fine. I know what this Nomax image language is. Did anyone play with that? An image viewer application? No.
No Max.
The Cavantum manager that I've never actually used Cavantum before. I guess it's for theming for GTK, or I thought it was theming for.
Qt.
So why would you need
Oh, for
Cavantum?
QT, is it?
Why would you
Yeah.
need Cavantum
for
if you
QT,
have?
yeah.
It makes
The,
it easier if you want to do like a GTK theme, I think, to match it.
Oh, okay. I would think the Flatpak would have a hard time matching that. Like, I've never actually had Flatpak successfully match. That's not true. Rarely have I had Flatpaks. That's not true also. Many applications, Flatpak don't respect the color scheme, and I've noticed. So it could be a GTK based or Qt based desktop. It doesn't matter.
I think it's better if you use GNOME or Plasma. Those theme it better. Not always, but usually better than like Mate or XFZ. My install, I installed Flatpak and I think Firefox and Zoom from Flatpak, and I have 11 gigs.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
That's small.
So EasyNix, what codecs are supplied with KaOS? Xener GStreamer. I'm gonna guess they use GStreamer. I didn't look. I don't actually know my Pacman commands to probe it. I kind of pushed all those out of my head. But I'm gonna guess GStreamer, so that's more typical anymore.
They also got the K-Wallet Manager in there, but I'm not a fan of that K-Wallet Manager, but it doesn't seem to bother you in any way. If you have like a Google Chrome or something on there, it might do, but it's normally it pops up and says, put your password and stuff in, but it didn't do that when I opened Falcon. I don't understand the K-Wallet Manager, how it works in the background, to be honest. Does anyone know how that thing works?
How it works exactly, I'm not sure. How I use it is probably not the correct way of using it, but it stays out of my way the way I use it, which is I use the Blowfish encryption, which is the less secure one, and then I put no password in, so I'm never prompted for a password because I don't want to be irritated with it. So don't use my method of doing that. I would say there's probably better out there. Every time I've used anything other than that, it made me want to punch my monitor. So I just figured for the sake of my monitor, just to do it that way. And I use Bitwarden for password management anyway, so it stores like my Wi-Fi password, and then I think that's really it on my system. Linux Bytes does the same as me, so he and I are both get our hands slapped for information technology security practices.
I noticed when I asked for a password, it argued with me and says, that's not very secure. I go, well, that's what I want. It's not very secure. That's what I want. And I noticed you could actually turn it off. That was good. That was the only distro I've ever seen where it gave you the warning, but you could exit out and continue anyway.
Yeah, I think Anna Rita thinks that Blowfish is quite the name.
I think you need to install a package, if I remember correctly, like PAM or something, PAM, something like that, for it to not bother you about the password every single time. It unlocks it with the user password or something. I think that's how K-Wallet works, but I forget exactly what package you need to install, and then it won't bother you anymore.
Yeah, I'm not sure on that. I should probably look into that because I mean I should. I think it'd be the smart thing to do.
It hasn't popped up since I've been using KaOS. KaOS. It comes with a USB writer as well out of the box as well, which is handy.
Did you use it at all, or no?
No. I did try theming a little bit, and I noticed that on a dark theme, the Octopi thing doesn't show up as much as it normally does.
Yeah, it's a little
dark.
Oh, speaking of Octopi, so I noticed that when I was doing, I got the notification for updates, and I clicked on the Octopi notification, and then nothing happened. So that could probably
yeah, same thing happened to me.
But then if you actually click on Octopi on the taskbar, it worked.
Yes, it opened up and you install your updates.
Yeah.
But then the notification, you got to click on it and get rid of it or something, I think, because the notification actually stayed there even after updates. It was sitting next to the Octopi icon.
Yeah, I had to close mine. You're right.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So it's doing its job as a notification, but I like when other distros you can click on that to get to what it's pointing to.
Yeah.
So John Westervelt, hopefully I'm saying that correctly, Is using OpenSUSE and GNOME Flatpak theming consistency pretty much works using CLI. So Flatpak, he's a Flatpak install FlatHub, GTK3 theme, Matcha Dark C. So maybe I have to install there might be like a Breeze Dark theme then that I could probably look for, something like that at GTK. I don't know.
So that command actually forces any Flatpak to respect the system theme. Is that what he's saying, or?
I think maybe just the lack of theme installation, like because I didn't install a theme, then maybe that's part of the problem.
Yeah, I think with some of the there's a download that Flatpak theme, and if it's in some of those Flatpaks, it'll help theme.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Well, I'm going to
I
copy
suppose
that
it's,
and put that
I
in my
suppose it's not
notes.
possible for any Flatpak to respect a system theme, is it? Or can that be built in? Is that not possible?
If the developer adds it, I think.
I think for Flatpak, you gotta install the theme, and then it follows it. And I think I've got it working with GNOME, I think, and Plasma, and that's it. I don't think it works for anything else that I've had used it with.
Okay. Well, it's good to know. I think I'm gonna do some research on the whole Flatpak theming thing because there are some applications that could use it.
Yeah,
So
that's
we've all
a
talked
good
about
idea.
default applications, about what is under the packages, Flatpak. I've been told by Dan that Snapd is not in it. There's one other avenue for packages. Sleepy, Vince, what's an Arch? What's the community programs called again?
The AUR.
AUR, yeah. KaOS has one called KCP.
Mhm.
And a similar kind of project where people write scripts. You go onto a web page, chaoscommunitypackages.github.io, and it gives you a whole list of packages. It's like the AUR, and you click on a package name, and it will give you a command. You copy the command and paste it into your terminal. My trouble is that part was flawless, but I tried it on 2 different programs. Has anyone else tried the KCP?
I totally missed that.
Yeah. So I tried 2 different programs, and it downloaded the script. It asked you, like the AUR, if you wanted to inspect the script, and then you go ahead, and it downloads everything it needs, checks the dependencies, and says, "Oh no, I need 2 dependencies," and stops. It doesn't go ahead and actually try and get them for you. So I used Pacman to try and get them. And on the first program I chose, there was 2 dependencies. I could find one in Pacman, but the other one was not there. And then so I tried a different KCP package, and the same thing happened. There was one dependency, and Pacman couldn't find it. So I struck out twice on the KCP.
I'm not familiar with KCP at all.
It's like the AUR. It's very similar.
That's only for Arch based.
Vince?
For KaOS,
Oh,
is
for
there a
KaOS.
user repository?
Yeah. It's the community packages that are written for it.
Okay.
So the AUR
Right,
is people
so it's-
writing for Arch.
Yeah, it's similar in concept to AUR.
Gotcha. I wonder if how similar the scripts are. Because I kind of wonder then why have the KCP if you can just use the AUR.
I did read it was different, but I don't know how different. I've never actually wrote a script.
I didn't look into that either. It's interesting.
Guys, I don't know if it's happened to you either, but my Octopi has stopped working in KaOS. And I've been sitting here the last few minutes trying to figure out why. So to install anything, I've had to drop into terminal. Anyone else have that same issue?
No?
Because with mine, when I open Octopi, it just keeps spinning the little wheel forever.
No, mine's fine.
I was gonna say it was a down under issue, but no.
For me,
Well,
I
I
guess I
he's
couldn't.
over in Sydney. It's over in Sydney, so that could be an issue.
But the first few times I used it, it was fine. And I could tell that it was updating the repository lists. But then I don't know what I did. I shut it down, and since rebooting it this morning, it hasn't been working.
So
I
for
only
me,
tried it twice. That was when I installed it last Sunday, and then this morning when I went to go testing and did the upgrades then, and no problems.
so for me, I installed it a couple of days ago and then updated it and just tried it for a couple of minutes and then turned it off. Turned it back on today and it wouldn't start. It said that the account management wouldn't work or something like that. So then I rooted into it and updated it and then it started. But I did have an error when I installed Flatpak. Something about revoking file system or something. So I'm not sure what happened there. I don't know if anybody else got that too. Whenever I installed a Flatpak.
I know I had errors when I did first install the Flatpaks, but once I ran a couple commands they said to fix them, everything seemed to work fine. I just can't remember the error.
So just to kind of circle back on the added applications, with any what additional, like what Flatpak applications or what additional applications do you install, or what would you require in order to use this as a daily driver? Like for me, I would need Audacity, Kdenlive, some sort of media player like Elisa. That's actually, I like it. It's been a staple as of late. Then probably Firefox for me.
Wasn't that one in there? Elisa?
Elisa's in there, and so is I believe Audacity's in there too.
Okay, my go-to Flatpak testing app, and a game I must have on every system, is Extreme Text Racer.
Good call.
I have to have it.
Yep. That is a fun one. Who
And
says
that
penguins can't fly is the best?
Yeah, and it installed well.
You install the Flatpak?
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't get that far.
And it's on any
I
games.
mean, I didn't try to.
Now, what about some general user experience comments? Now, I found that was a pretty typical Plasma experience, except I thought it was a little weird that the panel was on the right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, none of us have mentioned that yet, have we?
No.
Yeah, that's real bizarre. It's a very interesting choice.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether that's a personal choice of someone's or it's not very often you see something like that.
Linux user Wadan and Leo had a comment and a suggestion that because Unity had the panel on the left and all the X's and everything on the panels were to the left, this one they put the panel to the right where all the X's and window decorations are. It kind of makes sense. I went with what Leo did and moved the panel to the top because top rules.
It got in the
Yeah, I
way
sort
of
of. Yeah, go on, Jinder.
No, I just was going to say it got in the way of the scroll bar when I was using like, I don't know, Firefox or the web browser or whatever. The menu there, to me, it was annoying having the two together, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
That makes
That's-
a lot of sense, actually. It'd be very easy. The reason I say that is if you're used to using the scroll wheel or you scroll on the thing on the side and then you scroll on the panel, you're going to start flipping through your applications.
Dan
You have a-
Simmons claims he's an animal because he moved the panel to the bottom.
That is a better spot for it.
I thought it was
Whoa.
interesting that they had the calculator app on the panel. I mean,
It did?
not sure about, yeah.
Yeah,
I
Oh,
did.
yeah.
Where is that?
Right.
Calculator.
Next
app.
to Note.
Yep.
yeah.
But it's like a little pop-up calculator. It's not really like an application. It's
Yeah.
more
Oh,
like
it
an
is
applet.
too.
Yeah, it's real little
Yeah.
too. It just comes down
I thought it
from.
was. It's handy.
Interesting. Oh yeah.
But you know, why that choice for a calculator?
Hey guys, I got a silly question. You hit what is it, Control Escape, you get the task manager or the system, whatever you want to call it. I couldn't find it in the applications. If I went and searched in the applications, I can't find the task manager because at the time when I did it, I go, what is the default, you know, the hotkey for it? I haven't used KDE in a while and I couldn't remember what it was. So I'm searching for it and then I remember what it was, but I still can't find it. And I thought it would be in there. Just a thought.
The task manager, it's an icon only task manager that's set up by default. You can do show alternatives and it should show you, yeah, you can do regular task manager or window list if you prefer.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, guys.
Mm-hmm. I thought the yes, the right side panel felt a little awkward. I left it just because, but I thought it was a little awkward. I wonder what the reason was. Like, what's the design choice? Just to be different, you think?
I think the idea is that like you said, the scroll bar's on the right, and then you have your close buttons on the right too. So in terms of efficiency of time of moving your cursor around, everything would be better if it was on the right side.
Okay.
Now you also have that problem, like Jenda said, about scroll bars. So that could be an issue. But that I guess that's the reasoning. Everything on the right side, then you wouldn't have to move your mouse as much.
That's a good point. So it saves wear and tear on the laser then? Is that the idea? I mean, or the ball.
Well, I mean,
the ball doesn't get distracted.
panel or nothing. I don't really keep icons on mine or my desktop. I had to remap the super key to get the menu to come up. But yeah, for me it's awkward on the right hand side, but I don't use my panels on that for my icons anyway. So
What do you do with your icons? You just use the
I
menu
don't.
and that's it?
I just I super key, type in my whatever application I want, hit enter, I'm running, I'm off and running. I have no icons on my desktop. I keep no icons on panels.
Which is what you can do with, you can do the same thing with KRunner, isn't it? That's what the KRunner is for, does that very similar process. Yeah.
So you don't have a task manager at all then on your desktop then?
Nope.
Steve?
What are you using, Steve? No, you're using GNOME now, are you? Are you using GNOME?
Pop.
Oh yeah, on Pop. Yeah, of course,
Right.
you're using GNOME.
But that's, I also started doing that in Peppermint too.
Yeah, okay.
Do you use the dock or do you disable the dock?
No dock.
No dock.
I don't use the dock. Yeah.
Interesting. I would feel like I was
using a GNOME. That's default GNOME. No dock, no icons.
Yeah, I just like hitting the super key and then start typing, and I'm there instead of where did I put that icon or where's that? I mean, in the beginning, I thought panels were cool and oh, you can do this and you can do that, but after a while, I learned it's more efficient for me to just the super key and start typing, and I'm off and
But
running.
then do you do that to switch applications that are already open as well?
Yeah, I have been. Yeah.
Well, see, with Pop OS on 2010, which is what I'm running, when you press the super key, you've got all your open applications. So you can just scroll down. It's just a list.
Yeah.
And it highlights the window as well. Or you can search and open something.
Yeah, I actually went back to 2004.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, because 2010 was 2104 was given a lot of certain little issues. All of a sudden, Bluetooth wasn't working right. What that had to do with 2004, I don't know. But there was a lot of things that weren't working well for me that started, showing up. And I just reverted back. I just went back and totally reinstalled 2004 on my laptop.
I'm still stuck on the idea that you have no panel at all.
I mean, I have a panel. I mean, of course, because when, well, I GNOME, there is no panel. You just got your top, I don't know if they call it the panel. And I do have the top panel and Peppermint, but I don't keep any icons to start anything off with except for menu and the file manager and like Peppermint, and that I just I don't. To me, it's a little more efficient. Ben Eldred says I'm just on my way to window tiling, but I don't. I actually don't use the pop shell hardly at all.
What's interesting to me in KaOS is if you right click, it says show K runner, but it doesn't have a key map in that list, like a shortcut key for K runner. I'm sure you could find it in the settings, but I just find that interesting.
I think the default
Doesn't give
is
you
should be Alt space.
Alt space, is it? Yeah, it is. You're right.
So Dan gave an interesting tip in YouTube chat. He said on Plasma, if you click on an empty spot on the desktop and start typing it launches KeyRunner automatically.
That's correct. It does too. I keep forgetting about that.
Oh, I thought it was interesting that if you held your mouse over the desktop and you scrolled, it scrolled to the window spaces in KaOS.
Oh, it does too.
Did you?
It does.
I'm like, what's going on? I'm not. and sure enough, just that can get a little confusing.
So they've got an Nate, you're muted.
I was, yes. Am I back?
Yes.
Sorry, I've been having people knock at the door. So the whole idea was to have a place secluded so people wouldn't bother me.
Good luck with that, Dad.
Must have been a pretty big cockroach then, eh?
Yeah. Well, I
Was it one of the chickens or the ducks?
In this case, it was a neighbor, and earlier was my sister. So there you go. So I was gonna say I didn't see KRunner will pop up with Alt space on. That's the default action, and then that does work.
Yeah, Dan sorted us out. Just click anywhere on the desktop and start typing, and
that'll work too.
It'll work. Yeah. I noticed that the other thing I wanted to chat about with KaOS is they've got an advanced tab. Did you check the advanced tab out? I didn't use it, but it's got energy savings, firewall, system D, daemon, KDE wallet, network management, add users, configure search, Pac-Man, cache, and default apps.
Yeah, I have to say I do like that they had this. It's like a nice like a control panel. It's a consolidated area to talk or to manage your system as well. So Prophetic, he just hopped on, so it's nice to see you with your blurred background. Fancy. Did you happen to do any exploration of the KaOS? Sorry, Eris.
No, I haven't. No, unfortunately, I haven't. So it's been kind of cool just listening in and hearing from everyone's perspectives how it's been so far.
Yeah, well, it's all right. It's just an exploration. I honestly, it really was a typical Plasma experience. I mean, I kind of feel like this is just my opinion, but there's with different GNOME implementations, you have some variety. There's more variety, and then like more. Even though it's harder to customize GNOME, people tend to do that, and I feel like there's like more variation with the GNOME or GNOME-based desktops than there is with the Plasma-based desktops. I find that kind of interesting, or Qt-based. Well, there's Alex Qt, but so I mean, like I knew kind of what to do to make it my own, and the application was very how to add applications was very straightforward, and then with the advent of Flatpak, you kind of have that ability as well. So everything just seems there's not a whole lot of mystery in the world of distributions, which I think is a good thing, but it's a little less to explore, perhaps.
Do you think that KaOS has a legitimate, unique value, or is this something that's more like a gimmick? It being so focused on the Qt Plasma based environment, like that. My understanding is that if you wanted to install a GTK based application, it's kind of like you got to do go through extra hoops to do that. Is that
Well, you may
right?
you may as well just install the Flatpak of it, and there's less hoops you have to go through.
Mm,
Really.
yeah, yeah. So it makes me wonder, like, is there a space for this kind of distribution, or is it more like just to have just because? You know, does it have its own weight? Does a unique value have its own weight to exist, or just more like a passion project for someone, more of an experiment to see if there's like an audience for this?
So
Um,
I think that's actually a very good point. So an independent distribution like KaOS, and we could probably throw Solus in there. I'm sure there's others. So what is their unique competitive advantage? Like what is their attractive point? I think this is just my theory would be that perhaps if KaOS focused on a very tight set of criteria, that they would have potentially the best rolling Plasma experience, because you can throw everything else on top of it with Flatpak. That would be the that would be my understanding, like a direction you could go with that, which is what I understand what they're trying to do as well. So every time, it's a smaller package set that they have to test, so there's less work to do there, and with and then they don't have to worry about the additions and so forth. So that would be the way. Go ahead.
If you go to Crueso, under the About, it says the idea behind KaOS is to create a tightly integrated, rolling and transparent distribution for modern desktop, build from scratch with a very specific focus on KDE, Architecture 64, plus a focus on evaluating and selecting the most suitable tools and application. All work is geared towards packaging, not developing new tools or applications. That's
the
what it says.
curation seems to be
Right.
special.
So it almost could be, in some ways, kind of the potentially could be the counter, the Qt World version of Elementary in the curation, in the tight application selection, potentially.
Yeah, kind of. Hence your
I
poll.
was thinking about that could be like the angle they're going for, but then I wondered, based there, they say they focus on like selecting packages and letting those packages be, I guess, the VIP forefront. Do they do anything with styling to make it all cohesive? Because it's almost like, to truly be like a Qt version of Elementary, like you got to spend a lot of effort on the front end of like theming, designing, in that sense. Did you see that from your guys' experiences, where there was extra polish in the theming and making sure everything was like cohesive visually?
So, I mean, with Qt, you have the benefit of things automatically being more cohesive because Qt. But as far as like applications that don't fit into that, no, you're not going to have that. But you have that with Elementary. If you install a Flatpak, you don't have the same kind of cohesive feel to it as well. So even the Cavantium application and their Croeso, I'm going to keep messing that up. I kind of feel like even that's not very cohesive. I think more it's maybe not a visually cohesive, but maybe more of a technically cohesive project. Because they could do like just something like this with like a Fair OS kind of designer element to it. Could be a very interesting distribution.
Very true.
Because you'd have that very cohesive. Yeah.
I've not checked the forums or anything, but I heard there's a very good community user base on this. So they have a lot of users.
So under their news, they've got the biggest news for this release are major changes in the aesthetics, and the Midna theme has been redone. This includes a uniform look for SDDM and lock screen with a darker transparent sidebar, cleaner splash screen, and darker logout look. So they are sort of focusing a lot on aesthetics with this one. So you could sort of see that off the bat pretty much.
Yeah, for sure.
By the way, Colin, you mentioned the About screen. I'm going to take us all back to that. On the third paragraph, there's something very interesting. This is the Big Daddy Linux live. So bear that in mind. It says KaOS has made the choice to use the Linux kernel as a base, though the Illumos kernel is under constant evaluation and a future switch is a wish. Illumos is a Unix Solaris kernel.
Right.
Wow, that's unique. That's a unique value.
So they want to, at some point, it sounds like they want to switch to this Illumos.
Hmm.
Yeah, that probably will serve a very niche user base if they do that. But hey, it's a unique value that's legitimate.
Yeah, what would be the reason for that?
I have no idea. I just read it. I thought, oh, that's interesting.
It was in the about, but I didn't look up the what that, I guess, what the driving reason was. What is the reason they want to
well,
go to that?
it says further.
I'm not sure. Huh?
It says further down, KaOS is a build from scratch distribution. Every package in every repository is built by and for KaOS. By July 2013, the initial goal of about 1,500 packages was reached.
Yeah,
we're going
so
back in time there a bit, but yeah.
But
so that was.
Huh.
It's good that it's been around for a while. That's a good sign.
Yeah.
This
Yeah,
is
it has been
interesting.
around for a while.
Illumos is a Unix operating system that provides next generation features for downstream distributions. It's interesting. It's built by both
Yeah.
volunteers and companies.
Yeah,
So- Oh, like Open Indiana is one of them. So that's Solaris, I believe. That's interesting. That is very interesting.
I know I've heard of some projects wanting to move to FreeBSD because of licensing, but I'm not sure if this would be the case because I don't think it's as free as FreeBSD or OpenBSD. But then that's a whole nightmare licensing.
I've been getting the itch to try one of the versions of BSD. I don't know which ones you guys.
FreeBSD is good. I like it.
It's been a while since I've hopped onto FreeBSD or any of the BSDs, for that matter.
Well, you like really old stuff, and they're always behind on many things, Nate. So I think
This is true. Yeah, so I might like it. Run an operating system that is, 5 years behind Linux. That's kind of cool. Yeah, I run mostly older hardware. So
would beg to differ on that.
I was saying that to be a little bit disparaging, just for funsies. There was a lot of, this is probably 4 years ago now. There was a lot of I don't know, a lot of weirdness happening in the FreeBSD project. So I don't know if that was ever resolved.
Actually, Dennis Horman, who's normally in chat, I don't think he's here today. He's been making a lot of install videos and that on FreeBSD, and he's normally an Arch guy. And he's been doing a lot of videos. Doesn't have a lot of subscribers, but geez, he's gone from doing Arch distros and that to FreeBSD and a couple other BSDs. So it's very interesting to watch. Don't know if I'd want to go down that path, but he's done a very good job of getting it up and running anyway. So he really gets into it. It's quite interesting.
Yeah, I think we should. I think I should at some point in time make it a point to try BSD out, just for funsies. See what it's like. What are we doing next week?
Peter's got a nice small book he can lend you.
Yeah.
He does, but it'll probably take a week to get here. So are there any areas of KaOS you found difficult, or maybe kludgy, little I don't know, sticking areas for you?
No, actually, I thought they made it with the KaOS, I thought they made it quite easy to actually get yourself into the desktop from what I could see. And a new user I could see going ahead with that, no problem. You got packages to install, gave you the option. Not a huge amount within this welcome screen, but let's call it a welcome screen. It's easier to say.
For sure.
But it definitely gives you just the minimum things that any person using a desktop would want to need just to get themselves up and running. And I thought it made it easy to do that. So that's what I thought anyway.
Yeah. I surprised Nate earlier today in Telegram when I responded to his question on his poll, but actually wrote my answer, said that KaOS would be my choice of that too. But I also stated that if Solus ever went away, which it's not, but if it ever went away, this would be a candidate for me because the workflow, what my needs are, this would be perfect. I could, it's a rolling release. I could use it no problem.
That's interesting. That's very high praise.
Yeah.
And would you say that because it's rolling and a tight set of
It's
applications like
rolling,
Solus?
curated, it's like a tight community. So that's the kind of things I like.
It makes sense. Some people like to go to a smaller organization as opposed to a larger one where they get lost inside of it.
For
What do
me,
you, Jinda? Or I'm sorry, go ahead, Vince.
Oh, I was going to, sorry, out of the box, for me, it looks nice and the welcome app is really great for a new user as well. However, I'm just a little worried that a new user, if they don't find the application that they want, they might get a bit stuck if they don't know where to look with Flatpaks, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So, Telegram was there for me, but Discord wasn't. And if I was looking for that, I'd have to go a Flatpak route. And that's a bit of a bit more work involved.
That's a good point you raised.
Probably the only concern I would have for recommending this to a new user, but otherwise it looks fantastic out of the box. I'm not a regular.
Flatpak. They didn't have Flatpak option out of the box, no, or any.
I didn't see it. I just went my normal route, which is just going through the terminal.
Okay.
Mm.
I'm just looking now to see if they got Flatpak anywhere as an option, but I don't think they do.
I don't think it was installed. I had to install Flatpak.
No, you had to actually install Flatpak from.
Yeah, the old-fashioned way, through the terminal. Okay.
Any other thoughts you've had on KaOS that maybe we missed?
I don't know if it's a KDE thing because I don't do KDE that well, and that's probably where I was also having some difficulties with this. They have that instant messaging where it showed that Telegram was in there, but I couldn't get it to connect.
I didn't actually use that instant messaging application they had in there.
Yeah. I didn't know if it would bring up regular Telegram or that, but I put it originally asked for the phone number that and it had several other, I can't remember them off the top of my head of what was in there, but I thought that was again, I don't know if that's a KDE thing.
Yep. AOL Instant Messenger is an option, so if you want AIM, that's good. So if you go back to 2005, it's right there for you. I didn't try that. I did see that they had C-File installed by default. I don't know if anyone has used C-File for file synchronization. I've heard good things about it.
I didn't get a chance to look at it.
Yeah.
Dan Simmons in chat makes a really good point, and something we probably didn't touch on was their website and how much documentation is on there. Right. It's actually a really good website. It's really well organized. And if you need to find something, it's actually pretty easy. That's actually if you go and look, which I didn't as much as I should have, so it seems.
Wait, we can just go to their.
Well, under docs in the welcome screen, they've got asking smart switching NVIDIA Pac-Man additional kernels, KCP, which is what Pete was talking about, and forum. So I don't know. I'll click on that, see what it takes me.
That's cool. Yeah, actually, it's a very easy instructions, step by step for the Flatpak. You just search Flatpak on their documentation, comes right up. That is nice. Any other thoughts? I think it's good though. Their website does have a lot of really good resources in there.
I mean, because of the, I guess, unique style, unique distribution, I couldn't recommend it to any brand new user to Linux. I don't think that they would, would be rather difficult.
I also don't think that's the audience. So.
So, if you were to sell somebody on trying KaOS, what would you say would be like some of the high points? Like for me, it's very focused, easy to install.
KDE
I think
is
Eric's
cutting edge. It's always updated.
So
Yeah.
in Linux user space, talked about how KaOS does a good job of updating all the KDE packages. As soon as they're released, they're pretty much on KaOS the same day.
Wow.
That's good to know. I mean that's a selling point. I think if you want cutting edge right away, and because I have such a focused set of packages, it's not likely going to have some build fails and whatnot. Well, yeah, I think it was a good experience. I think if I were doing this show different today, I would have probably actually asked someone from KaOS to join. Or KaOS. I did it again. Sorry, Eris.
KaOS.
I want to make sure I don't get scolded by Eris again. Did anyone else have, Jin, did you have anything that you want to throw in on there, or Steve?
I have to say I liked it. It was nice. The only thing that some of the packages were a little limited on what to pick from, but other than that, I didn't think it was that that bad. But I did have to admit that I did notice some of the packages that some of the stuff that I would want to install was harder to find. Is that a good word for it?
More of a challenge, yeah.
Yeah, maybe more of a challenge. But other than that, I thought it looked good. Well, KDE is a very nice desktop, so I mean, some of the default programs were fun to play with because I never heard of some of them before, and they all seemed to work. I only had issues with the one program, and that was it.
So, what are your thoughts on the whole base set of applications, just in general, the whole general idea of is it good for distribution to already pre-set up a bunch of applications inside of a distribution, or is it better to have nothing and then you put in what you want? I know Eris said he put a minimal install and it had too much in it, but is that how you feel like distribution should go, or what is your take on that?
It's nice. I mean, in a way that, the curator, but now you spend time and you only would have so much time to do certain apps. Look how long it took Solus to get, really build up the kind of their apps. And then once we went to Flatpaks, everything else, it's just, doesn't truly matter. At this point in time, I don't want to say it's not in their best interest. It's great. Like I said, when I installed GIMP, it was the 2.10.24, a newest version, which you can't often find in any other repo. But now you're spending a lot of time curating it towards your distribution. and it's it's like what you want to put in, whether I don't know if they get opinions from around their community, which ones they want in there, right? So I think like just opening up to the option of snaps, flat packs, and app images is a lot better for some of the distributions these days than worrying about keeping up repos and that.
My opinion on that is that I think it's good that it's like minimal in regards to applications in there, but be transparent about what's or make things available, like on the welcome screen available, like what KaOS has done. They've given you some options of installing, but they've also installed some other things as well. So maybe it might be better off if they have minimal applications installed and people choose what they want to install. But then again, if you're new to Linux, you probably don't know what you're installing, right? So there's two sides of the coin, isn't there? So I suppose you've got to have a certain amount of out-of-the-box applications so people can explore and get to know what they are. So I suppose you've got your seasoned Linux users and you've got your new users. I think they would struggle if there was minimal out-of-the-box applications, I think.
So
would you remember Windows is very minimal. It comes with WordPad, Notepad, and Calculator and Paint.
Yeah, we tend to forget that sometimes, right?
Yeah,
they have their
Good point.
app store now, but it always, it was always.
There was
Well,
no
I get minimal for Windows, right?
Yeah,
it's
true.
Loaded, but
True.
you had to go out and get all your applications.
That's
Isn't
very
it different
true,
now though? Isn't there like a selection for like what are you gonna do with the PC now when you install it and ask you if you're gonna be creative or something like that?
Yeah, I think it does do that. Yeah, it asks a lot of questions. Too many questions.
I've not installed Windows in about a decade.
I did
I
for
will
somebody,
say
but I don't recall those questions.
Yeah, I reinstalled my son's system about 4 months ago, and I don't remember some of those.
I will say one thing about KaOS. This is the first distro that I was able to install that has Plasma, modern Plasma. I don't know why, but modern Plasma does not work on my system anymore. I tried installing Fedora KDE. I tried installing, I think, Solus KDE and Arch, I think. None of them worked. And this is the only install that I could actually log into.
Oh, what'd you think about
I think you're
Stacer
missing one.
being installed out of the box?
Yeah, it's pretty handy, I suppose.
I don't think I don't know. Don't know of any distributions that have Stacer installed right out of the box.
I think I've seen it maybe once or twice out of the box, but yeah, you're right. It's not very often you see it, to be honest.
Thanks, Steve.
That is pretty cool, actually.
I get info. I like that.
And then when you run it the first time, it then pops up and will stay in the
System
panel.
tray.
Yeah. Until you close it, and then you have access to all the applications in it.
I didn't actually see that.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. I didn't see the Stacer before. I think I used Stacer a while ago. Go ahead.
It's using
no, you go ahead.
1.9 gig out of memory on VirtualBox, and 0 to 2% CPU. So just in case anyone's interested, anyway. But according to Stacer.
I was going to give a point to KaOS for having a system tray
Yay.
That is nice. That is a nice feature.
these days.
Yeah, that's a default Plasma, isn't it?
It is.
So talking of plasma, Nate, you asked about what strikes you about this distribution. For years, whenever I tried to use plasma on most distributions, especially when we're doing the BDLL challenges, I wasn't fond of the KDE installations a lot of them use because it was like vanilla KDE.
Good
just
evening,
scrolled
everybody.
on, and maybe some tweaks, but not a lot. I'm being serious here. I know I'm biased, but I'm being serious. That the first plasma-based distribution I really liked was Solus. So they took their time. They got the plasma installation right. They took a while before they actually released an official ISO, and it comes very polished out of the box. This is a KDE based distro that is like a cutting edge. It's like it's what they call the front ship, the main ship, flagship of KDE distributions, and it's very polished as well. Very easy to use out the box. Very well themed. That impressed me. It's not really a vanilla KDE.
Right. And I'm mostly used to vanilla KDEs. So I was going to say, Eris, I didn't hear you say you tried OpenSUSE. Maybe you should try that. I don't know.
I tried it before. I haven't tried it recently, but I couldn't try out the latest KDE. I don't know what's the reason for that. When it starts loading, it just keeps loading, never finishes loading. The whole system holds.
It's interesting. So, Mark, welcome. Nice to have you. Did you do you have anything on KaOS? Did you happen to give that a whirl at all? And Max, welcome. Know if you have any other thoughts on KaOS? If not, I'd like to, since we're fairly quickly running short on the time, I'd like to talk maybe next possibilities for some sort of an exploration, a distribution exploration. I'm kind of getting the feeling, I don't like to use that term often, that we should perhaps try BSD. Would that be something that anyone that would be interested in here, is trying a BSD? So no, that's a no on Peter.
There's always one.
I've already got it installed, that's why.
So
I've always been telling Robo Noogie I'm gonna do it, but I just never have.
So maybe this be the impetus to actually give it a whirl. I know, Max, do you have any thoughts on a BSD?
Zoom
Yeah,
is
I always like
quiet.
playing
I
around
can't
with
hear
them in the
what you
short
guys
term.
are saying. I'm sorry. I hope I didn't interrupt you too much. Did
You
get fixed?
did, but it's okay. Yeah, try and get that fixed.
Yeah, I'd be curious as to which BSD we'd want to try because there's a lot of options on the desktop ones, and I'm not really sure what the main one is now that TrueOS is gone.
I didn't know TrueOS was gone. What happened to it?
I believe it. I'm not so sure. I haven't stayed up on it, but I think the project lead changed and it like became some other project now. I'll have to do
Okay.
some digging.
So Leviticus says free BSD is what we should try. It seems like that's a
That's the main one.
yeah, Ghost BSD would be a forgiving one to try. FXFCE
My vote
and
goes
Mate.
to OpenBSD.
Okay, so OpenBSD. I'm good with any BSD at this point. I'm gonna explore it perhaps in a terminal in a VM first to see how it goes. But yeah, so I guess it's three options there now: free, open, and Ghost. To me, Ghost sounds coolest, but free I hear the most.
Cast my vote to a free BSD based one, but if we could find a more desktop oriented free BSD spin, that might be a better option.
Okay.
He's right. Max is right because free BSD, you have to install the desktop afterwards. Huh?
Okay.
From my understanding, Ghost BSD is the easiest one. That's for what I've heard.
Okay.
Which one?
Ghost BSD.
Ghost
BSD.
BSD.
I've tried it. It's a good out the box desktop BSD. I would recommend it, and I would try it again too.
Okay. All right. Well, this will be interesting because I have not spun a BSD in the last decade, so 10 years plus, probably almost decade and a half now. That'd be interesting to try then. Ghost BSD. All right, so for next Biddle, our challenge will be Ghost BSD.
Exploration.
An exploration. So just to explore it, take it for a spin, kick the tires. It's like going to a dealership. You want to take that take that SUV out for around the block. Maybe open up the carburetor if you're from 30 years ago, and see how it does in the highway. But yeah, just an exploration. Just because I don't want you to I want you to have fun with this, and also if you don't do the challenge, it's no big deal. I think you can contribute to the conversation regardless. That challenge, exploration. And what should we look out for BSD? Like what are its strong selling points that you think?
I think they have better documentation than Linux.
Oh, major documentation. Everything is documented.
I mean, the selling point was always the licensing, which is not going to be too, apparent to us as desktop users, but I guess playing around with some ZFS stuff would be the thing to do. That's probably the big shiny.
All right. I'm not sure what kind of ZFS stuff would I necessarily play with on a desktop. Like they have like rollback features like Snapper and Btrfs.
Yeah, since it's what's the term? It's like a chain journaling snapshotting file system. So
Copy
like
on write.
every change is marked, and yeah, you can revert just chronologically like that, which sounds pretty cool for like going back from updates.
Yep. Okay. So maybe trying to roll back just to see how hard that is.
Be curious if they had that like integrated into the desktop backup system.
Yep. Because I know OpenSUSE does. They do a good job of that. I know because I've used it.
It's working now.
Oh, good.
Yep. I'm going to close this door behind me because that AC is probably, the mic's probably picking up that AC. So,
I don't hear it.
okay. We're good then. I'll let it blow on me a little bit across the hall.
I have a fan blowing on me because it's like 90 degrees in this room, and I'm dying here.
Here too.
I have a good time dying here.
Upper level of a really old house, and the heat rises. Oh my goodness, it gets hot.
It's a thing.
Yep.
All right, and then Prophetic, he kind of hopped out just as he asked a question that maybe we should be fun to discuss. And I just lost it. If you had to go for rolling release, which one would it be and why? So I know Peter is going to go for Solus because that's what Peter does. He's a Solus spider. What about you, Jinda? If you had to go for a rolling, which one would you lean on?
Wasn't PC on Linux? PC Linux OS, wasn't that rolling?
I don't know.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah, I've used that in the past, and it was actually pretty good. I haven't used it in a couple of years, but it wasn't bad.
I don't know if Colin's still there or not, but if you had to go for a rolling,
I'm still here. It's a very good question. I did use Solus quite a fair bit a few years ago, and I thought, and that was going back a few years, but they'd have to be only better at what they do now. I thought that they were very impressive, Solus, to be honest, as a rolling distro.
Okay. What you, Vince? Oh, Arch.
Yeah, I've been on Arco for the best part of 2 years now.
Okay.
And it works well. I keep saying to myself that I need to really spend a lot more time in Tumbleweed, and I'm not just saying that to you, Nate, to butter your bread, but
I mean, it's fine if you are.
Yeah, okay. But I feel that it has a lot to offer. Every time I hear you speak about it, I just feel that it seems to be that little, they put that little bit of extra work into it over and above Arch with all the testing they do and making sure everything actually just works when you update. So that's probably why I want to. I mean, I've had the odd issue with Arch breaking with some updates. Hasn't been that much, but if you learn to not update when you need to do something, then that's okay. Update when you have time.
Like Sunday evening when you're done with doing everything for the week and you're getting ready for starting a new work week, you do that then.
That's right. And never before a biddle.
No.
Right. I usually do it in the morning before biddle, and then Kate and Live broke.
So or before Steve's stream.
Or before Steve's stream. Yeah, that's fine. You can do it before Steve's stream.
Didn't Ubuntu have a test run at doing a rolling release?
There's an unofficial rolling distro for Ubuntu, Rolling Rhino.
Okay, I thought I remembered that, yeah.
And it does have toll gates before you can actually update. So it's not like it's untested. It's not like the Wild West. So before it can get into the, you might remember what Martin Winpress said, before it can get into the into that staging, not staging, but like release for rolling, it does go through some sort of quality assurance. It's not open QA, it's something else. So that would be one to try, I suppose. Rolling Rhino. This might be another idea for a challenge. Maybe, I don't know, Rolling Rhino. Steve, if you're still there, I know you're muted and I can't see your non-punchable face, so I'm not sure if you're there. And come back to Steve. Eris, if you had to choose a rolling distribution, what would it be?
I'm not sure. I think if I didn't have NVIDIA, I would probably go with Fedora, I'm guessing. Okay. But if I'm stuck with NVIDIA, I might try either Arch or Tumbleweed.
Okay.
Fedora's rolling? Fedora's rolling, is it?
It's like semi-rolling.
It's semi-rolling.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of in between Leap and Tumbleweed at the rate of rolling that it is.
So their update path is pretty good. Is that how they do it? Or
it has been. I didn't try and update this last time, but I've always had successful updates.
I think the way Fedora works, if they are able to update a package to the latest, they'll do it. If there's issues, they'll hold back the package.
Oh, okay, right.
I think I've taken a Fedora 29 install all the way up to 34. So it updates really well if you go from one release to another.
So the desktop updates as well, or just the packages?
I think it's everything from what I understand.
Okay.
Sometimes they'll update the desktop if it's possible to the next version in the same release, or they'll definitely do it for the next release.
Right.
So Steve, I don't know if you heard the question, but if you had to do a rolling distribution, what would it be and why?
I don't know. Something I don't really think about. I mean, on one hand, it would be nice, not to worry about having to reinstall. But I would probably cover Peter's ears. So hey, just because it seems to work. I mean, I haven't used too many rolling release distros, so I don't know. I can't honestly give a good answer, I guess.
That's fine.
So the thing is with rolling release is like what I'm experiencing lately on Pop OS. Pop OS seems to do a lot of updates as well. It seems to be nearly every day, and I've noticed that when I'm actually rendering my videos, the sync lately has been out. I don't know what it is, and I'm starting to think that when you're creating videos, you really want a stable desktop. Things that don't change too much. Maybe packages can update, but the desktop needs to be stable, so audio and everything doesn't update that much, because you get these syncing problems and video problems and all these things when desktops and stuff update on a rolling release. And I think that's happening with me on Pop at the moment. That's why I've been thinking about possibly Debian and just use packages through Flatpak if needed. You know, so you have a stable desktop, so nothing changes on the desktop much. Because this is the second time this has happened to me. It happened to me on Arch as well, and it also happened to me on Pop OS now, because they do a lot
Well,
of updates.
I know with Pop, they do a lot of hardware enablement updates.
Yeah.
And I think mostly geared probably towards their systems, but they do
yes,
they do quite a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, so they are geared. You're right. They're focusing on their systems. So if I'm not using one of their systems, that could be have a negative effect on my system itself. But I'm not saying Pop is bad, because Pop is a really good operating system. I've enjoyed it. Been on it for almost 12 months, but I've just noticed these little things creeping in. So I think there's nothing better than a stable desktop to be able to achieve the things you want to do on a daily basis without, you know, those little surprises.
Right.
I also want to move to Bullseye. I just haven't gotten around to it.
So what about you, Max? If you had to choose a rolling distribution today, what would it be and why?
Yeah, well, I lived on Arch for a good 3 years, and then it broke a few times at like really critical moments, and then I moved away to Manjaro. Been there for about 2 years, and honestly, I'm kind of just waiting for this desktop to break to switch over to Fedora. I'm a little sick of rolling at this point, and like that nice stable targeted. In Fedora, you know, you get the nice new packages and the Flatpak setup. Actually, like Colin was saying, I did the Debian with Flatpak for a while and found that a really amazing experience, but then ended up leaning over to Fedora for that slightly newer package base. But I think that's the way to do this, the fixed desktop with the Flatpaks on top.
I'm happy to hear some positives out of that, because I've been thinking about that for quite a while, to be honest. Yeah.
I think Schickel also did that for a while, and he was pretty positive about it too.
That's good to hear. I mean, Fedora would be my number 2 after OpenSUSE, so I understand. What about you, Mark? What would be if you had to go rolling today? What would it be?
It would be Fedora. I'm currently using Fedora. I have been using. Oh, let me get closer to the mic a little bit.
Yeah, you're kind of quiet.
I'm currently using Fedora, and it's Fedora 34, the latest with the GNOME 40. But I'm actually using Cinnamon here more recently, and it's hard to beat it for a rolling distro for as far as stability goes. If you want, like the others have said, having the latest packages with greater stability, it's hard to beat Fedora for that. As a number 2, I love it. I'm very happy. As a number 2, I would probably go with Manjaro or Arco, maybe.
Okay.
Possibly even Garuda. But again, the stability is not quite as stable as Fedora would be. However, I've had really good success running Manjaro over the years, in recent years. And it's been a while since I've run it at this point, but it's been really good for me, really stable.
It does seem like there's a lot of energy, a lot of momentum in the Manjaro camp, which is good to see. They're doing a lot of neat things.
Yeah, they're definitely holding their own still today.
For sure. Well, for me, I would do shocker. I would do Tumbleweed. In fact, that's what I'm using right now.
No
and
way.
Here. and there. And there.
And I gotta say, I got to see the OpenSUSE
You got to see
laptop.
You got to see my OpenSUSE laptop that has stickers on it of just OpenSUSE.
Nate,
It's
almost fell off my
what would your
chair.
second choice be?
I think my second choice. So that's. I won't do Arch because I've not had a good Arch experience at all. and it takes too long to set up unless you cheat. So it's just not my thing. I haven't tried Manjaro in a while, but I think that, and I don't really consider Fedora necessarily rolling. It's like quasi rolling, maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure. I think it's still stable, but I'm not sure. So the reason I do Tumbleweed is because I can things roll forward. If I do break something, I have fallbacks. So like just in case there's an issue like with Kdenlive, I keep the app image, so I can always use the app image if something breaks in Kdenlive, or Flatpak of the Commodore emulator in case that breaks. So that's applications are fine. It's rare, as in never, an official package seems to break for like the system components. But should something go awry, I can always roll it back with the snapper, the rollback feature. And so if I were to choose something, it's got to have the same safety net because, I like that same safety net. And I'm not sure if Manjaro's got that safety net with the rollback option. I don't know. I think you can make Arch do that, but I don't know that for sure. So I'd have to have that safety net. I know Fedora doesn't quite have that yet. It's coming soon. In fact, under the hood, apparently there's some work in unifying like the package management between Fedora and OpenSUSE on DNF, but with some of these zipper features, I guess. I'm not exactly sure. But there's some neat stuff happening there as well. So Manjaro with ButterFS and time shift according to Linux Bytes. So I guess I could do, is that a default option, or do I have to do some fiddling about to make that happen? Do we know? Maybe
I
Linux
know
Bytes
that I was having a chat with Leo from Linux User Space and Mintcast, and he installed Arca Linux, so Archbase, with the Calligra installer, and it actually set up ButterFS and TimeShift if you select ButterFS as the file system. So that was for Arco. I don't know about Manjaro.
So I see Doug is trying to get me to. So he says it's well done, open box, and capital green, shouting green. So that does sell me a little bit when you say it's green. I like the color green. It's very calming.
So do you have a number 3 or number 4, Nate? Or there's no 3 and 4? Because you said your first pick is OpenSUSE, then Fedora.
Yeah, I mean then I'd probably try Manjaro because I know Matt and Wendy on Destination Linux, the DLN Extend podcast that I'm co-host with. They speak very highly of Manjaro, and Wendy's been using it for a long time with much success. So, I think it'd be worth trying again. But so there's something. So one of the things that I like about OpenSUSE though is that it supports a lot of architectures, so I can play with a lot of different kinds of hardware. I think Manjaro's kind of got that too. I think OpenSUSE might have more than Debian at this point, even if it's unofficial. But it's neat to see. I mean, it's nice to have like the be able to install it on different things. So like Manjaro does have ARM support, which is awesome, and so that interests me highly because then I could do like the PinePhone or PineTab or whatever else. I could play with Manjaro on it. So I think Manjaro might be up there too. I don't know if Fedora has much in the by way of ARM. I don't know. I could look.
Manjaro is a strange beast because you get you seem to get some people say it's really good, it never breaks, but then you get some people saying it breaks all the time. So I don't know. It's a really strange one because there seems to be like one end of the spectrum to the other. You never know. I just wonder whether it's maybe hardware or something like that when it comes to Manjaro.
I don't know if it's true, but I would think it would be the AUR, because the AUR is meant for Arch. And since Manjaro hosts packages, I think that's always an issue for Manjaro.
I think you hit the nail on the head. It's a mix of people trying to use the AUR and also not having just the right hardware. Because I've never really had much of an issue at all. And I've ran Manjaro several times at length. And when people tell me it breaks, I'm like, that's odd. For me to hear it so much that Because I too have heard similar. I have heard people say that it works I've heard people say that it works fantastic, never breaks. And again, like you said, I've heard people say that it breaks on them, but I've run it at length multiple times, and I've never really had much of an issue with Manjaro.
So with Arch-based distributions or Arch packaged-like distributions, can you set priority for different repositories? So, like the Manjaro repository would be primary, and anything that tried to install that conflicted, it just wouldn't.
Yeah, there's a toggle switch in Manjaro for the under the package manager, Pacman or PAMAC, that you can select repositories that you don't want to have turned on. You can
I just mean like priority though. So like,
well,
oh, Vince is
I don't know if there's a
I can't
way
hear
to
you,
set
Vince.
priority, but you could probably edit a config file and do that somehow if you really wanted to get creative.
So Vince, you're talking, but nothing. There's no sound coming out.
Oh, sorry, I was muted.
No worries.
With the priority for Pacman, if I remember correctly, in Pacman conf, it's the priority that's listed as you go down the file.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you can also, when you install a package, if it's in two different repos, because Arco does this, they build their own packages as well. And if you want to install your package from the Arch repo as opposed to the Arco Linux repo, say they're just a bit behind, you can actually say which repo you want. So say I can't remember what the repos are called now, but you can actually name the package with the repo itself. So it's something repo / package, and it'll take it from that repo.
Okay.
If you follow me.
I'm following you. That's cool. Well, excellent. Well, we're at the time, that time when we have to say goodbye for a week. So I'd like to go around the room here and do the last word. Peter.
I've been sitting here thinking and be serious for a moment. Over the last couple of years, I'm glad that nobody in the Linux community, the BDLL community, has really succumbed to COVID, to illness. Keep yourself safe. Just keep on being safe, please. The food bank keeps on going busy. I've been very busy all week. I installed KaOS last week. Didn't get a chance Monday to Friday to really test it. Tested it today, but the food bank is still busy. So keep thinking of us too.
Well, Peter, thanks for being here, and I agree. I'm glad no one has succumbed to any virus, and we've lost anybody. So thank you for that, and thanks for being here. Jinda, last word.
Oh, first off, I'd like to thank everybody. Also, I'd like to, say like a late happy birthday to Linux because it's 30 years.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, just for fun. And I hope to see you guys all next week. And thanks for putting up with me as usual.
Well, you were very quiet today, so not a whole lot to put up with. Thanks for being here.
Sorry about that, guys.
That's all right. I appreciate you being here and your input. Colin, last word.
Okay, well, Nate, thanks for putting this on. It's fantastic that you do so. And I think Aris is helping you in the background as well, I believe. So thanks, Aris, for that. Is that correct? Is he helping out?
He does, and also he encourages me a lot.
Okay. Well, good work, Aris.
So in between, I'm usually I call him up and I'm crying, saying I don't know if I can do this anymore, and then Aris says put on your big boy pants. Everything will be fine. You can do this.
Why do you think that fork's on his picture?
He did prod me with it twice. But yeah, no, he has actually helped me several times, keeping me going on this. So yeah.
Yeah, well, it's great. And like Peter said, most people, well, everyone I think we know on this BDLL community here has not had any issues with any COVID or anything. So that's great. And it's good to see that everyone's healthy. And always enjoying the discussions. They're great. Keep up the good work, Nate. And everyone have a great week, and shall see you next week. Don't know if I'll get time to do, what was it, Ghost BSD are we doing? Was it
Ghost BSD. Exploration.
Alright.
Yep.
I'll try my best, but I struggle for time as it is. So we'll see how we go. I'll see if I can get something done. Have a great
Well,
week, everyone.
So thank you very much for being here once again. And if you if you can explore, great. If you can't explore, you can at least
Yeah.
ask questions and poke
Sure.
poke vicariously through the rest of us.
No worries. I'll be poking Dennis during the week if I get a chance.
Oh, good. Vince.
Well, I'm not going to poke anyone. That's for a start. Okay. Because I might get poked back. I seem to get poked back a lot by some people. But yeah, thanks again, Nate. Had a really awesome time again today. And I know Eric is also behind the scenes too. So thanks to Eric too.
Mm-hmm.
Have a great week, everyone. Stay safe, stay healthy. See you next time.
Well, thanks again for being here. I know it's kind of probably an odd time for you, so I do appreciate you taking the time to grace us with your presence.
Very
Steve.
welcome. Loving it.
Yep. Good. Steve.
Nate.
The man from the other side of the lake for me.
Yeah, thanks, Nate, for putting, taking over and bringing on what Rocco had started. Thank you for doing this and giving us Saturday nights back. Appreciate that. And all the guys that are here, and but often everybody knows the support they give, but bringing up Eris has been very supportive, and I don't get to say thank you enough to him for that. So thank you, Eris. So everybody, you guys have a good weekend.
Well, thanks again for being here. It was great seeing you. What, was it last week or a couple weeks? 2 weeks ago now.
That was last Sunday, believe it or not. It seems like a lifetime ago, right? No, wait, 2 weeks ago now.
2 weeks ago, yeah.
Yeah.
Almost a fortnight.
I wish it was just last weekend. I wish it was just tomorrow.
Get those shares out, Steve. Go to 0, right? Get those shares out, mate.
Dome's not that good for that.
Not all of us are blessed with your cranium. So, Eris, last word.
Thank you very much for everybody being here. Don't let Nate fool you. He does most of the work. He works very hard to make this show and make sure that it keeps going. I just wanted to mention that if you want to learn more about KaOS, you can check out Linux User Space, the KaOS episode a couple weeks back. And they're also going to come out with an episode for Arch Linux, in case you're interested too.
Oh, good. I have to get caught up on my my podcast, so now I feel guilty because I didn't listen to that one yet. Sorry, Dan and Leo. So thanks again for being here, Eris. I do appreciate your input on the regular, and you are very helpful for me and keep me going with this. So I appreciate it. Max, last word.
Yeah. Thanks for hosting as always. You actually have me really curious about trying to SUSE Tumbleweed again. That ButterFS backup solution looks pretty snazzy. Not sure when I'm going to have time for that, but I'm definitely going to play around with that at some point. And looking forward to playing with Ghost BSD. They're always really fun for seeing, different take on the whole Unix paradigm.
Yeah, I look forward to that, and I'm glad you guys have been constantly, speaking about the BSD. So you've piqued my curiosity. That's the spelling with a Q.
I gotta check the BSD Now podcast out again, because I used to listen to that for a long time just to see, the other side of the fence, and I learned a lot of really high-level system admin kind of tools from that.
That's cool.
To see what they're up to now.
Yeah,
maybe.
And if you listen to it, make sure you share with the group.
Yeah, maybe we try and get one of them on the show.
That might be fun. They're probably too busy for a lowly fellow like me, but I'll do some poking around this week and see if I can get anybody, any BSD experts. Nothing against you, Peter, about coming on and maybe telling us what we're doing wrong.
I am not an expert. No.
So, all right. Well, thanks again for being here, Max. I do appreciate you showing up and hanging out. Mark of Yates Network, or is it Mark Yates of Network, or is it Network Mark Yates? I don't know. Oh, I can't hear you. Oh, yeah, wrong switch. Oh, I think there's a warp core breach. I can't hear you, Mark. Still can't. Uh-oh. Did your Manjaro bust a move? Bust a rhyme. Well, you can sign it if you know sign language, because you can sign it if you want. Maybe hold up a piece of paper. All right. Well, anyway, thank you very much, Mark, for being here. I appreciate any conversation that anybody brings, and also, and Prophetic was here for a while too, and so forth. But I want to thank all of you for joining, both in the Zoom meeting and the YouTube stream. I want to thank Rocco again for starting the BDLL community, Eric for letting me use a Zoom yet again, and everyone involved in making Linux and open source software possible for us to use, have these conversations to talk about, enjoy our technology, and so forth. Happy 30th birthday to the Linux kernel, as it truly puts personal back into personal computer. Until next time, see yas.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye, everybody.